John is going to give us a demonstration of how to do a Beecham Wire Twist on a surface iron.
Okay,
Hi,
guys.
John.
Hi, Joe. Hey, guys. My name is John Anjard. I'm one of the captains out in San Diego. I've been fishing the jigs for a very, very long time, and growing up, I was very fortunate to get in.
John's fished a few jigs. Look at that. Yeah, so little context.
So when I was fishing, the captains at that time were commercial fishermen. And one of the things that I was learning is how to fish a jig and wire it. And people go, why would you wire a jig? And what I'm getting in is that there's a now looped on this jig, like a ring hook that we're gonna introduce, and this is the Salis 7X. This is an old vintage. This is what they call an attitude squid. Really, really great jig for calico bass and yellowtail. It was really known for that. With the yellows and browns, typical of summer jig, but with the vintage jig, it's game on. It's a preferred jig.
And especially when you're fishing the kelp, that's a primary time to use the wire, right?
Correct. So the wire itself will do two functions that probably are the most desirable. One, by putting a ring on it that we're going to be doing, and when I mean a ring, I'll show you here very soon, is it makes that jig swim at its peak or at its best. And then the other feature is what you were just saying. So if it goes into kelp, if it goes into something that can be cut off, the wire will cut it. Now, I use a lot of 30 and 40 pound, and the rule of thumb is kind of match the mono that you're fishing. There's a 32, 38, and typically if I'm fishing 30 pound, this is my 30 pound wire that I fish. If I'm fishing 40 pound test, I use 44 and 48. And to me, that makes the jig just swim so good, so good. So how I start this is I put the welded ring on the hook itself. I put the wire through the ring, and this is so I can twist the jig.
How big of a piece of wire did you use, John?
I like to grab probably about a 4-foot piece of wire, and the reasons why is the overall leader is going to be around, what I really like is say 21 inch to 33 inch, something of that. A little bit longer better, just because the yellowtail and everything wants to wrap around a couple times into the weeds and going from there. So you need some. I don't think 5-6 foot will make it better. I think that typical 2 to 3 foot works the best. So what we're going to do is going to put the wire through that welded ring, and I'm going to use the hook on the lure to be the starter, the twisting device. So I'm just going to barely start grabbing it and turn it, and you'll notice that the wires on each end is kind of like a 45-degree angle, and that's creating the twist effect, almost like a haywire twist. But you're going to twist it 7 times up. Instead of closing it there, the Beecham wire is that now you go back down on itself 7 times. So 7 up.
Okay.
You bend it now 45 degrees on the way that it's going, and I'm going to hold my finger and let that kind of hold its angle and kind of lead it to where it's going. And I'm going to twist it 7 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then again, it's almost like a John Collins knot, or those advanced Albright knots. And then from that point on, to close it, I'm going to kind of turn this so it's almost like a perpendicular with the wire.
90 degrees.
90 degrees. And then I'm going to start twisting it. So I'm going to start twisting it so that, again, I'm going to use my finger. So
this, you're trying to do those coils so they're like, right next to each other?
Yes. So it's called like a box or closing it. And what you would be seeing, it's going to be very similar to what you would see on somebody's pliers. How it kind of wants to fall on itself. By falling on itself, it pushes it forward and it closes. So it looks like an enclosed spring, or a tight spring, not a stretch spring.
All right.
So what the rule of thumb is going 7 up, 7 down, and 7 to close.
Okay.
This works really well with this style of wire. For one, it doesn't cinch down like the haywire twist, even though you've gone twisted so many times.
So it's going to maintain that little gap there.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And then this box end on the hay wire twist is up above, but there's nothing stopping it from sliding down, and it does slide down,
Right.
and it cuts itself. It usually breaks out the eyelet.
Okay.
So by doing the 7 up, 7 down in the block, it doesn't slide.
Got it. Okay.
I pulled probably about 10 inches, 8 inches to do this knot. It creates what I need to, and it still gives me enough, anywhere from say 1 inch to 3 inch, to break it off. You don't use your pliers.
Okay.
So
yeah. So how do you actually finish that off?
So what you'll do is, it's called a leg, and what you're going to do is bend it, so you have something to grab on if you need to.
Right.
And you're gonna. This is where the finger function or the muscle memory would help. So you're gonna kind of pinch it with your two front fingers, or your thumb and your first finger, and kind of hold it wherever you can with your fingers.
Okay.
Maybe if you want to have your thumb here and pinch here. I've seen both where it helps for people, but this little leg is what you're gonna grab, and you start rotating around in a circle, almost like it's a drill, and you go about 3 times forward, a couple times back, and again you're gonna keep on doing that, and then keep on going. And that
just comes right off.
It breaks at there. If you use your pliers, you will always have a tab. By creating that little extra wire with the leg,
nice and clean.
Correct. The wire roll was, I think, 25 feet, and for San Diego, one of the candy stores a lot of us locals guys go to is a place called Squidco, and that was just over $2. So to give yourself a little bit more is pennies for the project.
Right. And so then that's actually the top of the rigging that you would tie on your main line to.
Correct. So now we're going to go to the main jig, and again, this is a Salis 7X light.
Right. Okay.
The color pattern is called Attitude Squid or Pissed Off Squid. It's a vintage old jig. This is a great jig. So again, I grab about 4 feet. So from where the eyelet is, or that welded wire, that's typically, that to me is about 30, 33, 32 inches, something like that, just around 3 foot. That's ideally where I like it.
All right.
Okay. The reason why we started this first is because then we have the hook to twist it.
Yeah.
So I would always recommend using your jig first, then have it here, have this done, and then trying to do your hook, then it just doesn't work for you.
Yeah, I get it.
So we're going to do the same thing. So this is what we're talking about with the ring or the loop, kind of like a ring hook on your surface, or a ring hook on a circle hook, where we're going to do a ring on the jig to allow it to swim better. So again, we're going to go that 45-degree angle. I twist it 7 times, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to push it back to get that 45-degree angle, and again, I'm going to use my finger to help that angle where it's going on to, and I can visually see it on my finger, so I know if the angle's right.
So like when you're tying, for example, a John Collins knot, you're kind of like trying to do the wrap so it kind of lines up with the previous, on the way up.
Right, it folds in where the gap is from when it comes in and goes down. So it's very similar to a John Collins knot.
Okay.
So anyways, we're gonna go from there and twist it down, and then again 7 times perpendicular.
Right.
I'm making a video. And then we're gonna twist it 7 times to close. And again, we're talking about like on your pliers, how it ends up and it kind of folds on top of itself to make that box or that ending plate.
Right.
7 times.
And then you do the leg thing.
Right. If you want to go 7 to 10, that's fine. So remember what we're talking about now. We have a ringed on this jig.
Yeah.
So yeah, the potential for this.
Swings loosely.
Absolutely. This will give you 110% out of this jig. The best way to go. Again, anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 inches. Who cares? Grab it to where you feel comfortable at. I like to bend it just a little bit, twist it a couple times forward, make the complete circles, and bam, it was easy to break off. Clean out the wire.
That was the part that you didn't show me before, where you twisted it the other way. Okay.
Yeah, you want to go a couple times one way, kind of the other way.
Right. Okay.
Let it break out the knot, and you're good to go. Guys, that is a Beecham wire. Hopefully you guys can enjoy this. This is the best way to do the wiring. Good luck, guys. Glad you guys could see the video. If you have any questions, get a hold of Joe and we'll make some more. Have a good day.